Of course I'm marrying Emma. Ryan Carter lifted his glass as if the question were ridiculous. But I'm not cutting Mia out of my life. Someone off camera laughed. Ryan leaned back against the leather sofa, completely relaxed. And if Emma doesn't like it? He smiled. She'll be angry. Then he paused. But she won't actually leave. I had been back in New York for less than an hour when I heard my fiancé say those words in a 27-second video. 8 weeks later, Ryan would arrive at a private Hudson Valley estate wearing the tuxedo he had ordered for our wedding. He would walk into the groom's room. He would see a printed schedule on the table. Bride, Emma Bennett. For one brief second, he would feel relieved. Then his eyes would move to the next line. Groom, Adam Carter. His older brother. But sitting in the back of a car outside Kennedy Airport, I had no idea the story would end there. All I knew was that some relationships do not end when you discover betrayal. They end when you finally understand how certain the other person is that you will tolerate it. My name is Emma Bennett. I was 33 when this happened. Ryan and I had been together for 15 years. We met in high school. We started dating seriously in college. Our families knew each other. Our friends overlapped. Our holidays overlapped. Our futures had been discussed so many times that eventually everyone stopped asking whether we would get married and started asking when. Ryan came from the Carter family. Carter Group was one of those companies whose name appeared on buildings, hospital donations, business journals, and gala programs. Medical technology. Infrastructure. Healthcare investments. Real estate. Ryan had grown up knowing that one day he would probably take a major role in the company. He was smart. Driven. Charming when he wanted to be. And for most of our relationship, I believed that beneath all of that ambition was a man who knew me better than anyone else. Maybe he did. That made what happened worse. Because Ryan did not misunderstand who I was. He simply became convinced I would never stop choosing him. My family had money too, but in a very different way. My grandfather had built a regional healthcare company decades earlier, then used much of his wealth to establish the Bennett Children's Health Foundation. By the time I finished college, I knew I did not want a corporate board seat. I wanted the foundation, community health, pediatric rehabilitation, family access programs, hospital partnerships. The work was slower, less glamorous, but it mattered to me. Ryan respected that in theory. In practice, he often treated my work as something flexible. His meetings were fixed. Mine could move. His crisis was urgent. Mine could wait. His world was business. Mine was foundation stuff. At first, those differences seemed small. Then Mia Collins entered our lives. Mia worked as a program manager for the Carter Arts Foundation. She was 29. Smart. Attractive. Warm in the careful way people become when they know everyone is watching them. Her mother had died 2 years earlier. She had almost no close family in New York. Ryan began helping her. That was how he described it. Helping. At first, that meant giving her career advice. Then introducing her to people. Then using his driver to get her home after late events. Then covering a medical bill after she had a health scare. Then paying part of the rent on her Upper East Side apartment. Then adding her to his private car service account. Then paying for a concierge medical membership. Then giving her a spare key to his apartment. Each change happened separately. And every separate change came with its own reasonable explanation. She doesn't have anyone else. She's going through a difficult period. The money means nothing to me. She helps with foundation events. You know I'm not interested in her like that. You don't need to be threatened by Mia. That last sentence always irritated me. Because I never said I was threatened. I said I was uncomfortable. There is a difference. But Ryan had become skilled at changing the question. If I asked why Mia needed a key to his apartment, he asked why I did not trust him. If I asked why he paid her rent, he said I was making money more important than compassion. If I asked why she called him late at night, he said grief did not follow office hours. The hardest thing for me to admit later was that none of those explanations completely convinced me. I simply used them to convince myself that no single incident was enough to throw away 15 years. That is how bad dynamics survive. Not because every lie is believable. Because each lie asks you to overlook only one thing. Then another. Then another. Until one day you realize you have overlooked an entire relationship. The day I returned to New York, Ryan was supposed to meet me at Kennedy. I had been in Boston for a 3-day pediatric health conference. His message was waiting when I landed. Emergency meeting. Driver is outside. See you tonight. A year earlier, I would have defended him before anyone criticized him. Carter Group was negotiating a major medical technology acquisition. Ryan had recently taken over the deal. Last-minute meetings happened. Missed dinners happened. A driver instead of a fiancé at the airport could be explained. I had become very good at explanations. Then Lily sent me the video. Lily had been my best friend since college. Her message contained one sentence. "Watch this before you go home." I opened it in the back seat. The video had been recorded at a private members club in Manhattan. Ryan sat in the middle of a low leather sofa. A few friends were around him. Mia sat beside him. Close. Not kissing. Not touching in any dramatic way. Just close enough that her knee rested against his. A man across from Ryan said, "Emma lands today, right?" Ryan nodded. "So, are you finally cleaning up whatever this is with Mia before the wedding?" Ryan laughed. "Cleaning up what? You're getting married in 8 weeks. I know." He took a drink. "Of course I'm marrying Emma, we've known each other 15 years. Then he glanced toward Mia. "But Mia isn't going anywhere either." The man laughed. "You sure Emma's that generous?" Ryan did not hesitate. "She'll be angry." Then came the sentence that ended my engagement. "But she won't actually leave." The video stopped. I stared at the black screen. I did not replay it. I did not call Ryan. I did not send Mia a message. I saved the video to cloud storage. Then I texted Lily. "Keep the original." After that, I called my attorney. Mark Ellis had handled foundation matters for years and had also been negotiating my prenuptial agreement with Ryan's lawyers. He answered on the second ring. "Emma?" "Mark, the engagement is over." Silence. "Then, are you sure?" "Yes." "Do you want me to notify Ryan's attorneys?" "I don't need a lawyer to end an engagement." I looked out the window as the car moved through traffic. "I need you to pause the prenup negotiations. Then I want a list of every wedding deposit, cancellation deadline, refund clause, transfer option, and vendor obligation." Mark did not ask what happened. "Understood." I ended the call. Then I looked at my engagement ring. It was a large family diamond. Beautiful. Expensive. Chosen by Ryan's mother years earlier and reset for me. He slid it off my finger. I did not throw it out the window. I did not leave it in the car. I did not send Ryan a photograph. I placed it in the zippered pocket inside my handbag. A ring did not need to perform the breakup for me. Ryan came to my apartment that night at 11. He carried a box from my favorite French bakery. He walked in with the easy confidence of a man returning to a life that had been waiting exactly where he left it. "Welcome home." He bent to kiss me. I stepped back. "We're done." Ryan stopped. For 1 second, there was genuine confusion on his face. Then, to my amazement, he smiled. "Lily sent you the video." "Not." "What video?" "Not." "What are you talking about?" He knew. "Yes. Emma, I was drinking." "Your diction was excellent." His smile disappeared. "What I have with Mia is not as complicated as you're making it. You gave her a key to your apartment. She picks things up for me sometimes. You pay her rent. I can afford it. Were you planning to keep doing all of that after we got married?" "I was going to put better boundaries in place." "What boundaries?" For the first time, Ryan had no immediate answer. He looked toward the window. Then back at me. "I wasn't going to let her interfere with our marriage." That sentence did almost as much damage as the video. Because in Ryan's mind, the problem was not that he had built an emotionally intimate second relationship while planning a marriage with me. The problem was whether that relationship inconvenienced the wedding. I handed him my tablet. Mark's emails to vendors were already appearing. The prenup negotiations had been paused. Ryan stared at the screen. "You're serious?" "Yes." "Over 27 seconds?" "No." I folded my arms. The 27 seconds just translated the last year for me. He paced across the living room. 15 years, Emma." "Yes." "You're going to throw away 15 years over this?" "I'm not the one who put 15 years in this position." He stared at me. I continued. "You assumed those 15 years would absorb anything you did. That's not fair. You said I wouldn't leave. I was talking to friends." "You were telling the truth." Ryan shook his head. "You're angry." "I am." "You need time to cool down." "I am not upset enough to need cooling down." That irritated him more than shouting would have. For years, Ryan had understood my anger as something temporary. Something that could be managed. A dinner reservation. Flowers. An apology. 3 days. A week. Then everything returned to normal. This time, I was not giving him an emotion. I was giving him a decision. He picked up his coat. I'll give you a few days. I almost laughed. He stopped at the door. We were supposed to get married in 8 weeks. We're not. When you calm down, we'll talk. He left. I stood in the quiet apartment for a long time. That was when I understood the real problem. Ryan had heard me say the engagement was over. He had simply translated my decision into an emotion because after 15 years, the idea that I might actually leave did not fit inside his view of me. 3 days later, I hosted the Bennett Children's Health Foundation annual dinner. I almost canceled my appearance. Lily told me not to. If you stay home because Ryan acted like an idiot, then he still gets to decide where you are. She was right. That evening, we were announcing a major pediatric cardiac initiative. I had worked on it for almost a year. I was backstage reviewing the speaking order when our event director, Amy, hurried toward me. We have a seating issue. What kind? Ryan Carter is here. I frowned. He didn't RSVP. He didn't. Amy hesitated. And he brought Mia. For 1 second, I felt heat rise in my chest. Then it disappeared. Where are they? He says he always sits at the head table. He used to. I walked toward the ballroom entrance. Ryan was already speaking with 2 major donors. Mia stood beside him with one hand resting lightly on his arm. The gesture looked deliberate. Maybe it was. Maybe I was simply noticing things differently now. A few minutes later, they reached the head table. Mia gave me a cautious smile. Emma, I didn't realize the seating had changed. Ryan said he usually sits here. He did. I turned to Amy. Do we still have 2 sponsor seats at table 12? Yes. Put them there. Ryan's face hardened. Emma, this isn't necessary. What isn't? Making a spectacle. I looked around the ballroom. Nobody was watching us. You didn't RSVP. Amy found you 2 seats. Table 12? Yes. That's near the back. That's where the available seats are. Mia said softly. I can leave. Ryan answered before I could. You don't have to leave. I felt him waiting for me to react. I did not. I handed the seating chart back to Amy. Problem solved. Then I walked away. Just before the program began, Mia caught up with me near the hallway outside the restroom. Emma. I stopped. She reached into her handbag. Then held up a key. I recognized it immediately. Ryan's apartment. He gave me this. I know. He said I can go there whenever I want. Okay. Her expression changed. You really don't care? I ended the engagement. But you were together 15 years. Yes. Doesn't this bother you? I looked at the key. Then at her. Mia, this is not a competition between you and me. She said nothing. You don't have to beat me. I stepped around her. I already left. That night, I stood on stage and announced the Foundation's pediatric cardiac program. Ryan sat at table 12. He watched me complete the entire evening without explaining myself to him once. Lily told me later he looked worse than if I had publicly screamed at him. The next afternoon, Ryan's mother came to see me. Susan Carter came alone. She did not ask me to forgive her son. She did not tell me 15 years was too much to lose. She sat in my living room and said, I'm sorry for what Ryan did. I looked at her. Whether you ever speak to him again is your decision. Some tension in my shoulders released. Thank you. Susan and my mother had been friends for years. Our families had become socially and professionally connected over time. That had made everyone assume our wedding was inevitable. But Susan never treated our relationship like a merger. Ryan thinks you'll go back, she said. I know. I told him to read the vendor notices and the prenup correspondence. He won't. No. Susan sighed. He thinks this is another argument. I had nothing to add. As she stood to leave, her phone rang. She glanced at the screen. Adam? The name made me look up. Susan answered. Friday? She listened. You're back in New York Friday? Another pause. Good. Then she glanced at me. Emma is fine. She does not need anyone cleaning up Ryan's mess for her. She ended the call. Adam Carter was Ryan's older brother. Unlike Ryan, Adam had left Carter Group years earlier. He had spent much of the last decade building an investment firm focused on medical infrastructure and healthcare projects. He lived mostly in London. He rarely came back to New York for more than a few weeks. But Adam and I were not strangers. 3 years earlier, we had spent 4 months working side by side. The Bennett Foundation had been trying to save a pediatric rehabilitation center in Brooklyn. The center was days away from closing. Its debt structure was a disaster. The building needed repairs. Several major donors had pulled out. Adam's firm had been brought in to restructure the financing. I represented the foundation and community health side. Adam handled the financial model. We fought constantly. He wanted cuts. I wanted services protected. He wanted realistic occupancy projections. I accused him of treating children like spreadsheet cells. He accused me of thinking good intentions could pay utility bills. One night, we sat in an empty conference room at 1 a.m. eating cold pizza. I had just rejected his third version of the budget. You do realize the numbers are real, he said. So are the families. I know. Then stop cutting physical therapy hours. Then tell me what to cut. I looked at the spreadsheet. Administrative consulting. That saves less than half. Executive travel. Already cut. Your fee. He stared at me. I smiled. That was a joke. No, it wasn't. Eventually, we found a way. The rehabilitation center stayed open. At the celebration dinner months later, Adam and I remained after most people had left. He looked different without a conference table between us. Less severe. More tired. More human. He asked, "Do you want to get one more drink?" I lifted my hand to tuck my hair behind my ear. My engagement ring tapped against the wine glass. Adam's eyes dropped to it for less than a second. Then he changed what he had been about to say. "Your car is here." He stood. "I'll walk you out." At the time, I barely thought about it. Years later, I understood. There had been a door between us. Adam had seen it. And he had chosen not to open it. I saw him the day after he returned to New York. Not at Susan's house. Not at a family dinner. Not because anyone arranged it. The Bennett Foundation was developing a pediatric rehabilitation center in Queens with a private healthcare group. Adam's firm happened to be that group's financing advisor. I walked into the conference room and found him sitting across from my seat. He stood. "Emma. It's been a while. 3 years. He smiled. "That Brooklyn project nearly killed me." "You're welcome." The meeting began. Within 20 minutes, we were arguing exactly as we had before. The budget committee wanted to reduce community therapy rooms. I refused. Adam challenged my occupancy assumptions. I challenged his construction contingency. 2 hours later, everyone else left. Adam closed his laptop. "Emma." "Yeah? I heard about you and Ryan. There are no secrets in New York." I'm not apologizing for him. I know. He was quiet for a moment. Then, 3 years ago, there was a question I didn't finish asking you. I looked at him. "What question?" His expression changed slightly. "It's not the right time yet." I laughed despite myself. "Why bring it up if you aren't going to ask? So you know I remember." Then he stood and left. Over the next several weeks, the Queens project put us in the same room again and again. Foundation office. Hospital. Construction site. Financing meetings. Community hearings. At first, I treated Adam like any other colleague. That became harder. Not because he flirted with me. He barely did. What changed things was how uncomplicated he was. If Adam disagreed, he said so. If he made a mistake, he corrected it. If he needed more time, he asked. If he said he would call at 6, he called at 6. That should not have felt extraordinary. After Ryan, it did. One evening after a project meeting, Adam and I stepped into the elevator together. "Do you have dinner plans?" he asked. "No. I'd like to take you to dinner." I looked at him. "For the project?" "No. Because Susan told you to check on me." He laughed. "If my mother knew I was asking you this right now, she would probably tell me to keep my mouth shut." Then his expression became serious. "If this is too soon, forget I asked." "Adam." "Yeah?" Was that the question from 3 years ago? The elevator doors opened. He did not move. 3 years ago, I was going to ask a little more than dinner. "Why didn't you?" He looked at me. "Because you were wearing an engagement ring." There was no accusation in his voice. No suggestion that I should have chosen differently. "Liking you didn't give me the right to step into your relationship." The doors began closing again. Adam pressed the button. "So what about now?" I asked. "Now I'm asking if dinner is okay." I stepped out. "Start with dinner." Our first date was at a small Italian restaurant in the West Village. No private room. No expensive bottle waiting at the table. No gift designed to impress me. We talked for 3 hours. Mostly about work. His life in London. Why I chose the foundation. Why he had left Carter Group. You and Ryan are very different, I said. Adam looked amused. That may be the safest sentence anyone has ever said. He always wanted to prove he deserved Carter Group. And I didn't? You left before anyone could hand it to you. Adam considered that. I didn't want my whole career to become a competition with Ryan. So you left? Yes. Was that difficult? Very. He took a drink. But I needed to know what I could build when Carter wasn't the only reason a door opened. That stayed with me. For 15 years, too much of my life had existed as one unit. Emma and Ryan. Our apartment. Our wedding. Our holidays. Our future children. Our plans. Even the way people introduced me. After the engagement ended, I was learning how to exist as Emma again. Adam did not rush to turn me into Emma and Adam. He walked beside me. That mattered. Weeks passed. Then months. I did not hide the relationship. Because both our organizations were involved in the Queen's project, I disclosed it to the Foundation's executive committee. Adam did the same with his firm. I recused myself from decisions involving his company's financial interests. Other executives handled final approvals. It was not romantic. It was responsible. And after a year of watching every boundary around Ryan become blurry, responsibility felt strangely intimate. Meanwhile, Ryan and Mia began having a problem neither of them had expected. Once I was gone, Mia started asking what they actually were. For a long time, their vagueness had been easy to blame on me. Ryan was engaged. Emma existed. Emma complicated things. Now Emma was gone. One afternoon outside Ryan's office, Mia linked her arm through his. When do we stop telling people I'm your friend? Ryan hesitated. This isn't the time. Why? Everything just happened. Emma ended the engagement. Exactly. Mia stared at him. You used to say we had to be careful because of her. I never said that. You said things would be different after the wedding. Ryan said nothing. Mia slowly removed her arm. She's not there now. That was the first time Ryan was forced to face something he had avoided for years. He liked being needed by Mia. He liked being admired by her. He liked playing protector. But he also liked believing I would always be somewhere in his future. He had never seriously asked himself what he wanted if he could only have one life instead of two versions of himself. Ryan eventually noticed Adam and me. The first time was at the Queen's construction site. Carter Group was considering donating imaging equipment to the center. Ryan attended a partner tour. He found Adam and me standing over construction plans. I wore a hard hat and sneakers. Adam had his sleeves rolled to his elbows. We were arguing about therapy room dimensions. Nothing romantic was happening. That seemed to bother Ryan more. Because there was nothing performative about it. It was simply a life in which he was no longer central. After the tour, he stopped me near the temporary fencing. You're working with my brother now too? We worked together 3 years ago. Why didn't you tell me? 3 years ago or now? He opened his mouth. Then closed it. Emma, you know what I mean. I really don't. I removed my hard hat. We are not together anymore. My work and who I spend time with are not things I report to you. His voice dropped. You're doing this to get back at me. Why do you need that to be true? He stared at me. I answered for him. Because if this is revenge, then everything I'm doing is still about you. Ryan's face tightened. It isn't. I walked away. The original wedding date remained on my calendar for months. At first, I planned to cancel everything. The Hudson Valley estate had already been booked. The caterer. Flowers. Music. Transportation. Deposits had been paid. Mark eventually called me. We need a decision. How long? 5 days before the estate requires final cancellation. And if I cancel, you recover most of the remaining deposit. And if the event is transferred? The contract allows a change of contracting parties and guest list as long as the event stays within the original size. I stared at the date. The old Saturday. The date Ryan and I had chosen more than a year earlier. By then, Adam and I had been seeing each other for several months. Not 8 weeks. Not some overnight revenge fantasy. Months. And before that, we had known each other for years. We had worked together. Argued together. Solved real problems together. There was history between us that had existed long before Ryan destroyed our engagement. That evening, Adam came to my apartment. We had dinner. Then worked for an hour on a foundation budget. When we finished, he did not immediately leave. Emma. Yeah? Can I finish the question from 3 years ago? I smiled. You already took me to dinner. Not that one. He reached into his coat pocket. My smile disappeared. He placed a small ring box on the table. He did not open it. My first reaction was panic. Adam saw it immediately. You can say no. This is fast. I know. I just ended a 15-year relationship. I know. People will think I'm doing this to punish Ryan. They can think whatever they want. That's easy for you to say. No. He sat across from me. It isn't. I said nothing. Adam continued. I did not start liking you because Ryan lost his chance. He looked toward the ring box. 3 years ago, in Brooklyn, I learned what it felt like to build something with you. I swallowed. You chose Ryan then. I was engaged to him. And I respected that. He paused. I am not inheriting Ryan's engagement. I am not asking you to repair my family. I am not rescuing you. Then he pushed the unopened box slightly toward me. I'm asking whether you want a life with me. I stared at him. What if I say no? Then I go home. And we keep dating? If you want. What if I decide in 6 months this was all too much? I'll be miserable. He smiled slightly. And I'll still finish the Queen's project. That made me laugh. And strangely, that was the moment my fear eased. Not because Adam promised everything would work. Because he showed me that my no would survive. For 15 years, I had lived inside a relationship where every boundary became a negotiation. With Adam, no was allowed to mean no. That made yes feel completely different. I opened the box. The ring was simple. Elegant. Nothing like the large Carter family diamond Ryan had chosen. I have conditions. Adam nodded. Tell me. Private ceremony. Okay. No press. Done. No corporate guest list. Done. No announcement turned into business news. Agreed. And I decide what happens with the old venue. Of course. I looked at him. Then yes. He did not shout. Did not lift me into the air. Did not call anyone. He simply took my hand. Are you sure? Yes. That was why I was sure. The next morning, I called Mark. Transfer the estate reservation. To whom? A new contract. Bride? Emma Bennett. And groom? I paused. Adam Carter. We moved quickly after that. But we did not skip the adult parts. Adam hired his own attorney. I kept mine. We signed a straightforward prenuptial agreement. Premarital assets remained separate. The Bennett Foundation remained independent. Adam's investment firm remained independent. Neither marriage nor family connection gave either of us authority over the other's organization. The ceremony stayed small. Fewer than 60 people. Family. Real friends. People who knew us beyond surnames and companies. No press. No corporate announcement. No giant rehearsal dinner. No public spectacle. And despite what Ryan later claimed, nobody hid the wedding from him. The estate sent him formal notice because he had been part of the original contract. The notice confirmed he had no remaining financial obligation. Ryan skimmed the email. He forwarded it to his assistant. Confirm I have no remaining liability. Ignore the rest. His assistant replied that legal needed acknowledgement. Henle it. Adam sent him an email himself. Subject. About Saturday. The first line said, Emma and I are getting married this Saturday. Ryan's assistant flagged it as personal. Ryan never opened it. If it's about Emma, archive it. 4 days before the ceremony, his assistant sent the family weekend itinerary. The first page listed transportation and hotel information. Ryan saw the Hudson Valley estate address. To him, that proved what he wanted to believe. The wedding was still happening there. Therefore, it must somehow still involve him. Do you want me to confirm your car? His assistant asked. No. I'll drive myself. He never opened page 2. Bride. Emma Bennett. Groom, Adam Carter. 3 days before the wedding, Ryan saw Adam and me together one final time in New York. We were at the Brooklyn Rehabilitation Center we had helped save years earlier. A new therapy wing was opening. After the ceremony, a gust of wind caught the papers in my hand. Adam helped gather them. He slid one folder into his briefcase for me. Ordinary. Completely ordinary. Ryan watched from the parking area. Then crossed toward us. Emma. I turned. We need to talk. This isn't a good time. 5 minutes. Ryan. Adam started to speak. I lifted one hand. I did not need him to handle this. What do you want? Ryan looked from me to Adam. What exactly is going on between you and my brother? You've asked me this. I want a real answer. Why am I required to give you one? He stepped closer. Out of habit more than aggression, he reached toward my arm. I stepped back. Don't touch me. He stopped immediately. No slap. No screaming. No scene. But those 3 words seemed to hit him harder than anything else. Because for the first time, Ryan looked like what he actually was. Someone outside my life. Adam stood beside me. He did not put an arm around me. Did not claim me. Did not speak for me. He only said, "She answered you." Ryan looked at him. Then at me. "You're together." "Yes." "You can't be." "Why?" "Not this fast." I looked at him. "Adam and I knew each other before you left the relationship." Ryan frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means not every relationship in my life began the day you stopped being part of it." I got into the car. Ryan did not follow. Saturday morning, he arrived at Ashford Estate earlier than most guests. He wore the tuxedo that had been tailored for our original ceremony. Until that morning, some part of him still believed I had pushed the breakup too far and would eventually speak to him before the wedding. At the family entrance, a staff member found Ryan Carter on the guest list. Because he was immediate family of the groom, she directed him upstairs. At the end of the corridor, one door had a simple card. Groom. Ryan opened it. The room was empty. Adam was downstairs taking photographs. A dinner jacket hung near the mirror. Ryan picked it up. The shoulders were wrong. The sleeves were longer than his. He frowned. Then saw the printed schedule on the dressing table. Bride. Imma Bennett. Ryan exhaled. For one absurd second, relief moved across his face. Then his eyes dropped. Groom, Adam Carter. He stared. The paper did not change. He turned it over. Then back again. A young venue assistant appeared at the door. "Mr. Carter?" Ryan looked up. "This is Adam's room." "What?" "The groom's room." Ryan's face went pale. Downstairs, the string quartet had already started. Ryan ran into the corridor. Someone called after him. He did not stop. The ceremony doors were almost closed when he reached them. Through the narrow opening, he heard the officiant. "And now, please welcome the groom, Adam Carter." Ryan stopped. At the front of the ceremony, I stood beneath white flowers and late summer greenery. Adam walked toward me from the opposite side. He reached me, took my hand, then leaned closer. "Ready?" I looked at him. "Ready." A few seconds later, Ryan pushed through the doors. A member of staff stopped him near the final row. "Emma." I heard him. I did not turn. Adam looked only at me. "Do you want to pause?" I closed my hand around his. "No." The ceremony continued. The wedding Ryan had been certain belonged to him had not been cancelled. It had simply stopped being his long before he bothered to notice. Afterward, Ryan did not come to the reception. He sat outside the estate for almost an hour. Susan found him before dinner. "Are you okay?" He looked at his mother. "Why didn't anyone tell me?" Susan did not lecture him. She simply said, "Ryan, I tried." He looked away. "Your assistant tried." Silence. Adam tried. Ryan stared at the gravel. I thought she was trying to make me jealous. Susan waited. Then said quietly, "I know." She looked toward the estate. "That may be the worst part." Then she left him there. 2 nights later, Mia came to Ryan's apartment. She held his spare key. "I don't know if I'm supposed to give this back." Ryan looked at the key. "What do you mean?" "Emma is married." He said nothing. Mia continued. "So what are we?" Ryan looked tired. "Mia. You used to say things were complicated because Emma was there." "I didn't say that. You said we needed to wait. Everything is a mess right now." She looked directly at him. "Do you love me?" Ryan did not answer. Mia waited. Finally, he said, "I don't know." She gave a small disbelieving laugh. Her eyes filled. "Then what were we doing?" Ryan had no answer. Mia set the key on the console table. "You didn't choose Emma." He looked up. "You didn't choose me either." She nodded toward the key. "You just kept both doors open." Ryan opened his mouth. Nothing came out. "I'm done." This time, he did not tell her she was emotional. Did not tell her to wait. He simply nodded. At the door, Mia turned. "Before you ask someone else to wait for you, figure out what you're actually asking them to wait for." Then she left. After the wedding, Adam and I did something people found strange. We did not immediately merge every part of our lives. My apartment remained mine. His place remained his. We had made one very fast decision. That did not mean every other decision needed to move at the same speed. Some nights he stayed with me. Sometimes I stayed with him. We did not share every password. We did not merge every account. We did not rebuild our calendars overnight. It was not distance. It was respect. One night, Adam came into the kitchen after a late call. I was reviewing a foundation budget. "You're still awake. So are you." He filled a glass with water. "Problem in London." I closed the laptop. "Do you want me to listen or help solve it?" He smiled. "You stole my question. Fair is fair. Listen first." So I listened. Halfway through his story, I remembered another late night 3 years earlier. An empty conference room. Cold pizza. A rehabilitation center we were trying to save. Back then, I had been wearing someone else's ring. Now I was not. A few days later, I asked him, "How much did you actually like me 3 years ago?" Adam thought about it. Enough to delete a dinner invitation I had already written. I laughed. "That's it?" Also enough that when the project ended, I stopped inventing reasons to stay in New York. I looked at him. Because of me? Not entirely. The answer came immediately. I needed to leave Carter Group too. That reassured me. His life had not frozen while I belonged to someone else. He had kept moving. So had I. We had simply met again farther down the road. Ryan eventually took a month away from Carter Group. Then he accepted an assignment on a stalled London expansion project. A few days before he left, he texted me. "I want 20 minutes. I'm not asking you to come back." I stared at the message. Then agreed. We met at an ordinary coffee shop near Central Park West. Ryan arrived early. He looked thinner. For the first time in years, he was not wearing the watch I had given him for his 30th birthday. His first question was direct. "Do you love him?" I thought before answering. "I'm falling in love with him." Ryan nodded slowly. Then gave a tired smile. "I kept thinking you couldn't possibly move that fast. You started counting my life from the day you left it." He looked at me. Adam and I knew each other years before this. We did real work together. We knew each other before any of this happened. Ryan looked down. "I didn't even know you were close." "You didn't know because you had stopped paying attention." He absorbed that without arguing. Then he asked, "When did you really decide there was no coming back?" "The video. Because of Mia?" "No." He looked up. "Because you said I wouldn't leave." Ryan stared at his coffee. "I thought that meant you loved me. It meant you were certain I would absorb the consequences." He looked at me. "Those aren't the same thing." For a long time, he said nothing. Then, "I understand something now." I waited. "I liked that Mia needed me." He rubbed his thumb along the cup. "And I liked believing you would always be there." I stayed quiet. "I wasn't choosing either one of you." He gave a bitter laugh. "I was trying to keep both feelings." For the first time, he said it without disguising it as compassion. Then he asked, "If I had ended things with Mia that night, would it have changed anything?" "Maybe." His eyes lifted. "But you didn't." The hope disappeared. Ryan nodded. "You really don't leave much room." "That's not true." I picked up my bag. "I used to leave too much." He did not argue. Outside, we stood on the sidewalk. "London is far enough," I said. Ryan put his hands in his coat pockets. "I'm not going there to avoid you." "Then why?" "I want to find out who I am somewhere Emma isn't waiting, Mia isn't waiting, and my father isn't watching every decision." For the first time in a long time, I believed Ryan might actually grow into someone different. That did not mean I wanted to be there while it happened. I did not go to the airport. The next day, one final message arrived. "I used to think, you won't leave," meant security. Now I know it was the most arrogant thing I ever believed. "Take care, Emma." I replied. "You too." By early fall, the Queen's Rehabilitation Center finally looked like a real building instead of a construction site. Half the glass facade was complete. If approvals stayed on schedule, the first patients would arrive in spring. One evening, Adam and I drove back after sunset. We carried takeout upstairs, along with 2 folders we had both promised not to open until morning. Inside, I kicked off my shoes. Adam hung his coat by the door. "Add them." He turned. "Yeah? That invitation you deleted 3 years ago." He smiled. "You still remember that?" "I want to know what it said." He thought. Something incredibly original. Try me. The project is finally over. If you're not completely sick of me, would you like to have dinner tomorrow? I laughed. That's very ordinary. I'm not good at dramatic invitations. What about now? What about now? I crossed the room toward him. If you want to have dinner with your wife, do you still need to ask? He looked down at me. I think I probably should. I wrapped my arms around him before he could finish. He laughed softly and held me. Outside the windows, New York was beginning to light up. For 15 years, I had believed staying was proof of love. It took leaving to teach me something different. Love is not proven by how much disrespect you can absorb. It is not measured by how long you can keep forgiving someone who assumes forgiveness is guaranteed. And loyalty is not an unlimited license for someone to keep another door open while expecting you to stand patiently behind yours. Ryan believed I would never leave. He believed 15 years made me permanent. He believed history was stronger than consequences. He was wrong. And the strangest part was that leaving did not destroy my life. It gave it back to me. The wedding was not revenge. Adam was not revenge. Mia was not my enemy. Ryan was not even the villain I once needed him to be. He was simply a man who believed he could keep two doors open forever. Eventually, both women walked through theirs. And when Ryan finally understood that, I was already standing somewhere else. Not because another man had saved me. Not because I had won some competition. Because for the first time in 15 years, staying was no longer something I did because someone expected me to. It was something I chose. And that made all the difference. Welcome to Hidden Stories, where betrayal, buried truths, broken promises, and the stories people thought would stay hidden finally come to light. If this story made you think about someone who took your loyalty for granted, tell me in the comments. Would you have walked away after hearing those 27 seconds? And if you enjoy emotional relationship stories like this, subscribe and stay with Hidden Stories for the next story.